Hey, this is Mo Lunsford at Union Grove Lumber Studios.
And this is the Shed Geek. We want to welcome you to today's episode. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek podcast, and really excited to continue doing this series with the good folks over at the Knowledge Gap, Joe Lignis and a lot of his group over there. Great partners, great people to work with, and doing a lot of cool things for a lot of businesses. And man, we just got through saying this is like, somewhere between 200 to 300 podcasts, and I'm excited, Brandon, that like this is your first podcast, or like at least one of them. So
I'm excited too.
Man,
thanks.
Introduce yourself to the audience, a little bit about who you are, what you do, kind of how we've connected.
Sure. First of all, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Super excited and just grateful to be here. So my name's Brandon Tobin. Most people call me Tobin. It's my last name. There's usually only one of those, but there's always like three Brandons. So, and then if I start selling and doing real well, sometimes they'll call me Tobinator.
I love it. The Tobinator. Yes.
That's a nickname I borrowed from my old man. He was a Air Force guy, corrections officer, just built big guy. They called him Tobinator. But
nice.
Anyway, I went a different path. I actually wanted to join the military and like fly jets and be Maverick basically. But my parents were like, no, you need to go to college. And so I was actually kind of a natural born salesperson. I'll tell you a little bit more about that part of the story later. But kind of as far as what I'm doing now, I'm one of the newer guys working with Joe and Woody at the Knowledge Gap company as one of the consultants. Super excited to help business owners grow their revenue, help coach their salespeople, develop scripts for them and presentations, things like that are going to really help move the needle. And if it's not like the top line growth that we help them with, just going through Joe with it was like a P&L statement for one of his clients. And just in like 5 or 10 minutes, he was able to show me. He's like, look, they're spending way too much money here. They're not charging enough money there. He helped them grow their profit by like 950%, but from now and a year ago, just by like kind of looking at the numbers too, and the processes and systems. So that's what we help people do here. But I kind of plan to talk a little bit about how I got into sales, why I'm so grateful that I did, and kind of what it's done for me, things that have helped me be successful, and little bit more about that. So just let me know where to start.
You got me on the edge of my seat already. I'm already excited to learn more about it. I feel like Joe really knows how to recruit some really great talent over there, and what you guys are doing is cool. And what business doesn't want growth? And sometimes it's, we've discussed this sort of in like our marketing efforts. We like to say, hey guys, we're an investment tool. Like, if you're in the shed industry, which is most of my audience, like you buy a Cardinal Mule, or you buy lumber, or you buy truck and trailer, whatever it is. You're investing in those things to kind of help you make money. So like, that's the way we should look at business services, consulting, marketing. They should be making you more than they're costing you, because the purpose of them is to add value to you at the end of the day. So it's really the biggest disconnect is that the gap, no pun intended, the gap between like, will I take that leap, to trust the process, and see that it's going to work. So, man, it's been kind of cool. And I feel like I get front row seats to kind of learn through these conversations, right? Which is kind of fun, and build a lot of friends in the process. And I know that you're a person of faith, so we want to get into all those, conversations as well too. So I'm excited, looking forward to it. So tell me why you got into sales and why you're grateful. I want to know that story.
Yeah. So I was kind of a natural born salesperson. I made my first cold call at 3 years old.
Okay. All right.
And I put that on my resume, and people would always ask about it in interviews. It was so funny. But it's true. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. Like, my younger sister wasn't much for conversation. She was like 1 year old. I was like 3 years old. And so I would just pick up the phone and dial random numbers, hoping to have someone to talk to, just to make a friend.
Nice.
And my mom didn't think it was, anything to worry about, until one day I was like actually having a conversation with someone. And she's like, give me the phone. Who is this?
Yeah.
She picks up the phone. She's like, who's talking to my son? And it's like a kid answering back, like, this is Byron. I'm 5 years old. I live in so-and-so street. And my mom's like, wow, that's around the corner from our house. And so our moms ended up being friends together. Me and Byron ended up being friends. Uh, it worked out. So that was my first
That's
cold calling
wild.
experience at 3.
I'll tell you what, code calling, man, it's not for the faint of heart. You know what I mean? You got to take on like a whole new attitude whenever you
It can be
address it.
fun though.
It can.
You
Yeah.
can either get a laugh, make a friend, something, even if it's not a sale,
Yeah.
someone that helps you out, gets you pointed in the right direction. I really believe every no gets you closer to a yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of truth to that in more ways than one.
When you got to work the leads, that's something that we preach a lot of times is you got to work the leads. Like you don't want to be high pressure. I get it. You don't want to, but man, you don't want to leave anything on the table in terms of service. Like in specific to the shed industry, one story I always like to say, tell people is like, no one ever came back and said like, you sold me, too big of a shed. They always want more storage. So they're always like, I wish you'd have
Sure.
sold me something bigger. And it's like, oh man, I was probably being conservative because I didn't want to seem like I
Right.
was overselling to you, right? I just wanted to get you what you felt like you needed. But, good customer
By
service.
the way, I'm in the market for a shed.
Oh, man, you're
So
going to get some calls
hopefully,
now for sure.
I mean, I'm in the Tri-Cities area, a little more east of Knoxville, but around Johnson City, Jonesboro. If you got anybody out there, anybody listening, right here, trying to
Oh
build a shed.
man, there's some good shed companies around too. So I don't, you drop your phone number on here, you'll get a call. You'll find out who's
Oh, for
working
sure.
their leads and who's listening if somebody calls you, right?
No kidding.
So,
Right, right.
so,
Yeah.
so that's a cool story. I like your code call. So then as you got older, you said natural born sales guy. I always like to ask
Well,
go
I'll,
ahead.
I'll
Yeah,
raise
you
you.
take it. You
I'll
roll
raise you
with it.
one more. This is really funny. So my sister, I'm a first-time uncle, and I'm from California originally, but I fled. I escaped, as my father calls it, communist Chinafornia. So it was really just like the taxes and
Yeah.
COVID really is kind of what was like the straw that broke our camel's back. So my
Gotcha.
dad's like, hey, I found this pretty place. Some real estate agent's YouTube channel just made Johnson City look like the Garden of Eden compared to the, hot, dusty Central Valley of California where we're from. So he talked me into moving. That was about 2 years ago. But to kind of back up, just a week ago, I was visiting my sister and her 2-month-old baby boy, and so we were also going through like baby photo albums and stuff of us, and stuff that we made when we were kids. So I found my first marketing brochure that I made when I was probably like 7 years old. So it's kind of hard to tell, but it says the Lost Lake, and there's like a waterfall pouring out of the
Oh,
E.
nice.
And I draw like some fishes and like a cabin and stuff
Yes.
on it. And the copy's not bad, for a 7-year-old. Let me tell you, I've got a guarantee in there. I almost spelled guarantee right. I said I'll guarantee you'll leave with a smile or your money back. You could rent boats and camping stuff for $5 each, and there's no tax. It's no sales tax. And I even had like a call to action with like urgency. It's like if you come within the next month and rent the boats and the camping tents and things, you get $5 off.
Wait a minute. So it just cost me $5, but if I just call
Right.
within the day, where's this
Exactly.
place? I've got to find out about the Lost
I
Lake.
know.
Is that what it
The
was?
Lost Lake.
I got to find the Lost
So
Lake. Here at Identigro, we have been providing custom nameplates for the shed and furniture industry for over 20 years. We are so pleased to know that shed manufacturers see the value in expressing their shed brand to potential customers using an Identigro nameplate. When you add an attractive decal to your product, you will more than pay for the cost with increased sales. Clients will not only be able to identify the shed brand, but it will help to brand and advertise to potential customers who can easily see the nameplate, and in many cases, find a phone number or website to shop for themselves. At Identigro, we are happy to continue to serve and invite you to visit our website at identigro.com or give us a call at 540-283-9193. You can even fax us at 540-283-9194 or visit our website by clicking on the Shed Geek newsletter and then simply fill out some basic information for a free catalog or free samples. Thank you, Shed Industry, for allowing us to serve you in identifying your sheds. Identigro. Identify your products. Grow your business.
anyway, So I was really into this stuff when I was a kid, and what happened was I had ADHD, and so my teachers strongly recommended Ritalin, Adderall, stuff like that to my parents, and like that's what every kid got put on in the 90s that couldn't sit
Yeah.
still to the end of the class. The girls were nice and well behaved. They were happy to like sit there quietly. I wanted to get up and run around, and like I was finished with my work. And anyway, Ritalin was way too much for like a 6-year-old, 7-year-old kid. And I just turned into like a really quiet, introverted.
Mm.
It killed my appetite too. And I was always the youngest person in school. So I ended up getting bullied a lot and really fell out of love with the gift of gab for quite a while.
Wow.
Just like played a lot of video games. By the time I was a teenager in high school, I was just like addicted to video games, doing my schoolwork, taking the hardest classes I could, like fully planning to go to college. And I think I wanted to be a lawyer, like I was into politics. I wanted to argue with people for a living. And I was just like a really skeptical, negative kind of guy. And I was like an atheist too. I thought anybody that believes in religion or God was like stupid or weak. Um, I still didn't have a lot of friends, needless to say, in high school. And like I said, I wanted to go to college to become a lawyer, but my parents strongly insisted that I sell books door to door instead. I'm
Instead
just
of,
kidding.
this is what you have to do, Tobin. This is the path forward. Yes.
They were dead set against it, actually. I told them what I wanted to do for my freshman year of college. Somebody recruited me. They came into my class with a flyer and they're like, I made $10,000 last summer. You can do it too. And my parents were like getting divorced and like declaring bankruptcy and losing their house. This was like the '08 housing market
Oh,
crash. Like that
yes.
was my first year
Yes.
going to school at UC Berkeley, where the whole University of California system was also raising tuition like 25% every year. So I was like, I need to make money, no matter what it is. And I kind of thought it was a scam the whole time, like the whole time I thought it was a scam. And so did my dad. And he tried to talk me out of it, but he's like, sorry, I can't, tell you not to go because like you can't come home either. So I went to a different state. They sent us to Nashville first for training. And that's kind of how I got a little bit of taste of Tennessee and
Mm-hmm.
learned to like it and love it. Um, but I was surprised to find out it was like a 150-year-old company that started out selling Bibles like during the Civil War. So all of my leaders were Christians, like all the top salespeople, the sales managers, the people who'd been there for 5, 10 years who did the best. And I looked up to them because they were so successful and so cool. Um, and I was just like, again, I had negative skills in sales at this point, like worse than zero, like not a talker, was really good at doing math and schoolwork and stuff like that. I didn't even study my sales talk or prepare. But when I got there, I realized, oh, shoot, this is not a scam. It's actually real. I better start catching up on studying right now and just
Mm-hmm.
drink all the Kool-Aid. Like whatever they tell me to do,
Mm-hmm.
cold shower, fine. Tell myself positive things in the mirror while brushing my teeth. Sure, sounds crazy. Whatever. I'm gonna do whatever they tell me to do because like I'm so behind the 8 ball right now. So I was drinking the Kool-Aid, doing everything they told me to. Had a short first summer and did like average, basically, like working 80 hours a week to end up doing average. And I wasn't really satisfied with that. And so I wanted to treat it like a class. And I blocked off time to study sales and become a student of the game. Like I unfollowed all the video game dudes on Twitter and YouTube that I was subscribed to. Like I stopped listening to music for just like a year or two straight. Like if I was in my car or if I was, not studying or in class, like I was listening to Zig Ziglar or Brian Tracy or like all the old school greats.
Yeah.
And Zig Ziglar said something that stuck with me. He said, like, you are not a professional salesperson if you don't have a tape recorder. He's like, if you don't record and listen to yourself, you're just casually winging it for fun. Like you're not a professional. He's like, that's like a football player that doesn't watch game tape.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
playing a game for fun. They're not
Yeah.
a professional. And so I recorded myself, listened to it, played with the tonality and pausing and things like that. And like was really coachable and like did everything that my mentors told me to do. Like having a list of all my customers was something I didn't do my first summer. And the second summer was so much easier. I was just like, here's all your kids' friends. And they're like, oh, sweet. We want to buy those books if they're going to help us in school and if our friends have them. So I learned about the power of like customer testimonials and actually following a script and like the cycle of the sale and like learning about whoever you're talking to before you go talk to them, kind of like doing your research, having a good intro and a buying atmosphere, and how to run a discovery, basically. I learned about how to demo, not it's not like reading the owner's manual, right? It's just more like you want to hit them with the sizzle, not the steak, ask them some questions and be like, how did you like that so far? So there was a lot of really good sales training, and I just really fell in love with it. I doubled my sales the second summer I did it. Third summer, my younger sister actually came out with me, and she did fantastic, and all of her roommates did great. I had like 4 or 5 other people on my team, and I thought I was going to be at that company forever. And probably about like the third or fourth year of doing it, um, is kind of when I start like my heart started to change, when God started speaking to me, and I started going to church and reading the Bible. But then I kind of fell out of it for a while, until I met some folks again later that got me going back to church again, studying the Bible. I think I just really didn't like religion was
Hmm.
the thing, and I had like some bad experiences with folks that didn't that weren't really good Christians.
Well, so did Jesus, you know? So
Right,
so did
right. The
Jesus.
Pharisees, the religion didn't like him either. So yeah, I figured out that I love God, I love Jesus. I just couldn't find a good church community that I liked. But that's one of the things I love so much about moving to Tennessee is it's the Bible Belt, And when I got here, I hadn't really been baptized yet, and I found Grace Meadows Church at in Jonesboro. So big shout out to the pastor, Dallas Crouch. The first day that I decided to go back to church in a long time, he said, "Hey everyone, this is a little awkward, being the leader of your church and all, but I'm gonna go ahead and get baptized today." And he's like, I did it when I was 8 years old. Feel like it didn't really count. So hopefully this inspires someone, but this is just what I got to do for me. I was like, wow, that's a sign. So I got baptized at their pond, actually,
Wow.
about a year ago on Father's Day. So it's coming up on my 1 year
1 year anniversary.
baptism anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At iFab LLC, our passion is welding, fabricating, and design. That's why in 2015, we began to commercially market our product to the shed, portable building, and mini barn industry. Our product is primarily used to build trusses. Our truss saw system cuts boards in one motion, and our truss press system installs and presses the gusset plates to a finished truss. We custom fabricate jigs that assure perfectly symmetrical truss setup without error. We also have other products designed to help your shed builder increase quality, efficiency, and save money. Our precision door tape will build your custom doors square every time and easily adjust to build any door. For products like these or other custom fabrication services for your barn shop, visit ifabllc.com or call 563-422-7496 or simply email us at ifabllc@gmail.com. Man, what a cool story. Like, I think a lot of people, we live very faith forward on the podcast. And we've talked for many years about how, like, I've had some people say, well, it's not a good look. You don't really want to bring politics and religion into your world or things like that. And I'm like, well, listen, like politics and religion are part of my world. Matter of fact, I don't even really know where you begin to separate your faith and your work and your family. To me, it's just all one big thing. And I think for a lot of people, it's kind of like, oh, I've got Jesus in this box and work in this box. And you know what I mean?
Mm.
And I'm like, hey, I think we read the same Bible or similar Bible anyway. And it seems to me like I could be wrong, but like maybe we don't put them in boxes. Maybe we just kind of blend them together, and it's just who life,
Amen.
what life is and who we are. You just kind of, I've prayed with customers, and I haven't been like, like, hey, no, it's not Sunday, so we can't do that. Like it's, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't understand sort of putting it in a box, but I did it for years. And I've had my own doubts. I mean, I've had, I believe that challenging your beliefs is only what's going to make you stronger. Socrates was stoned to death for the purposes of supposedly, causing children to question their parents. But I think that to me, it's okay to question your parents. It's even okay to question your faith. I don't believe that you follow blindly. I believe that testing your faith builds the perseverance of it. So I actually think that it's okay to sort of have challenging thought and questions and things like that. And I've had to have those in my own life. And all they've done is built my convictions deeper as to why I believe what I believe. It's like my pastor says, he says, "Oh, you're an atheist. Gosh, you got more faith than I do." And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, I don't know. To believe what you believe really takes a lot more faith than to believe what I believe if you actually start to study and view the history of who God is and what he is. My story actually makes a lot more sense. You have some pretty amazing faith to believe that all this came from nothing." So
No kidding.
it's interesting and you hear a lot of those stories, I've definitely been in some of those deep conversations. So I always appreciate that about the shed industry, that Jesus is not hidden in what we do because, people say, well, he's a controversial character, but I don't think that describes the nature of Jesus. I think he didn't come to be controversial. I think controversy surrounds itself by recognizing a sovereign God because we have to go internally within ourselves to believe, is that true? Something's bigger than us, and it tears at our ego and all these different things.
Mhm.
So, man, I love your story. I'm enjoying this
Thanks.
already more than what I had anticipated, and not because I didn't think that I would enjoy it, but we never met so far.
Right.
We had not had a conversation before today. I've met Joe,
Uh,
met Woody, even had those guys on the show. Interviewed Woody again this morning. We'll have another interview to get out of the way at some point as well on a reschedule. But dude, I really enjoy this. So how can you help shed dealers, shed manufacturers? We're a very fragmented industry. We have shed manufacturers who sell 1 million a year and sell 300 million a year, and I'm quite certain quite a bit more than that. Um, so my question is, you run the gambit with so many different things: shed manufacturing, shed sales, consignment dealers, wholesale retailers, shed haulers that have multiple fleet, or that have a fleet of multiple trucks. Um, I mean, we have a lot going on, and it's a way bigger industry. And then all the ancillary products, Tobin, like, greenhouses that complement what we do, the steel
right.
industry, the carports. Most shed dealers sell some kind of a carport or garage structure or metal structure, square tubing. Some do post frame, chicken
I'm
coops,
looking for a covered
furniture.
porch too. I'm trying
Oh
to make a
man.
covered porch, if anyone can help out with that.
Yeah, we've got guys that, and most of what we do is portable storage.
Yeah.
The purpose of it is to sort of like house excess. The American dream.
Right.
We want more, we want more, we want
No kidding.
more. And we've got a place for you to store it, I guess, is what we do. But
There you
that's,
go.
the tiny home market. Many shed builders also sort of venture over into that finished out model. So like, I mean, we're a much bigger industry and than what people see than just like a typical shed in your backyard. But where does the knowledge gap come in? Where does Tobin come in? What do you do? How do you
For
help?
sure.
How do you help a company increase?
Yeah. Great question. Thanks for the setup there.
Sure.
And it really is perfect timing. And I kind of wanted to tie it back into something you mentioned earlier too, where you find I guess you could say like birds of a feather flock together, like where we tend to find other people of faith, especially I feel like in the businesses of shed construction, kind of more like I guess you could say like blue collar businesses. Um, because I was in the Silicon Valley, the Bay Area of California. Like that was kind of the latter part of my career was software technology sales. About the most godless people you could think of.
Yeah.
That and bankers. But this has been such a nice, refreshing change of pace because I was just with Joe this morning, kind of shadowing him. I'm one of the newer people on the team, so I was kind of seeing how it's done. And he was meeting with these guys in construction, champion construction and power washing. And that was one of the first things they asked. They're like, "Do you guys believe in Jesus? Or do you love God?" Because there's three guys, and two of them had done full-time ministry before. And I was just like, man, how did they find us? Or how did we find them? Like, what a great match. And kind of as we were going through, what their strengths and weaknesses were, they were telling us, that they're so personable and so good at selling. That's one of their big strengths, right? But it was also kind of a weakness because they both felt like, man, I really couldn't teach somebody, like my process doesn't feel duplicatable. It's kind of how they were coming across. They're like, I don't know how to teach what I know. And we're like, well, do you have any sales scripts or do you have anything like that? And they're like, honestly, no, not really. And we're like, okay, well, we want to help you be able to duplicate yourself, duplicate your process, be able to scale and build those kinds of systems and assets, whether it's scripts for salespeople or, a presentation, a PowerPoint or whatever it is, or even just like shadowing and listening, seeing how they could improve, either make the sale faster or bigger or how to get more referrals. Hiring and firing is something that they need a lot of help with, not just the folks that we met this morning, but I think in general, when we meet with companies, a lot of business owners seem to be like, I mean, not all of them, but a lot of them can feel like emotionally like too close almost with their employees, especially the early ones, to the point where it's, even if it's not working out, so if they have such a good heart for their people, like they have a hard time having those tough conversations. And that's one of the things that's so valuable about bringing in like a third party, somebody that's not, emotionally involved or too close or like in the picture. We can see the whole picture by meeting with the people, and also kind of like I mentioned earlier, like looking at the numbers, kind of doing an audit or an analysis of their P&L statement, for example. That was one of the other things they said they struggled with, was tracking their expenses. They're like, we got QuickBooks and a bookkeeper, so we're okay for like taxes and stuff. But he's like, shoot, I honestly have no idea how much my guys spend on fuel for the trucks or any of those other kind of expenses. He's just like, I just put like $1,000 a month in the account and that could be twice as much as they need. Maybe they're just keeping the rest. I don't know. So we're like, well, we got something to help you out there too. And that was kind of the world that I came from most recently, was like software for tax and accounting, tracking expenses, employee purchase cards, tracking accounts payable, things like that, and being able to really minimize your expenses and maybe even earn points or rebates or something on whatever it is that you're spending on. So I think kind of like the people and the numbers in the business is where we can help out the most. Um, Hopefully I didn't say too much, but
You're fine.
also
You're
like content and like kind of marketing and branding. That's not so much my forte, but we have really good people here that help out with that, like a YouTube channel, branding, content marketing, that kind of stuff too.
Digital Shed Builder is an online shed configurator that strives to provide incredible visual quality, fantastic customer service, and an amazingly low price point, making it a perfect fit for any shed dealer looking to increase their online sales. Digital Shed Builder is simple to use, taking less than 5 minutes to integrate on your site. The Get a Quote feature streamlines your sales process, showing you exactly what your potential customers need. They offer a highly customizable experience that accurately represents your brand and unique shed offerings, working with you directly to set up everything you need in a configurator. With no extra startup cost, no lengthy contracts or commitments, and no hidden fees, Digital Shed Builder has been created with quality, simplicity, and affordability in mind. Yeah, man. No, I love it. So the sky's kind of the limit. And the one thing that I realize whenever you talk to a lot of companies, we had one of our previous guests on here, Jonathan Ulrich. He's very well known in the shed industry. He's got a company, a finance company, and shed company, and all kinds of other stuff. He's just a busy guy. He was talking on one of the episodes previously about that exact thing, is like knowing your numbers, being able to understand your P&L, being able to understand that just because you see a lot of revenue coming in doesn't mean you're making a lot of money. It means that there's a lot of money coming in, but there's an equation to that. There's the
Exactly.
equality to that is like you have a lot of expenses typically. And like we've experienced that even on our own growth, trying to figure out like when are you doing well? And I think the idea is like slow, steady growth. That's typically what I like to see. We've actually had an abundance this year, which has kind of like challenged us, but in a good way, because it's challenged us to be prepared for success. It seems like we're always prepared for failure because we're just so used to it, right? When's the other shoe going to drop? It's going to be here any minute.
Yeah.
But preparing for success is a whole different ballgame, because you have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe in the process, and you have to believe that it's going to work and what you're putting in is going to yield some results. And there's always that doubt in the back of your mind, if not. So knowing your numbers and being able to understand your P&Ls, being able to go through the analytics and the data. It's one thing that we understand in our own marketing company is that, know the numbers and then know what those numbers mean. Right. So like understanding what the analytics are. Whenever people bring something to you and say, here you go, you had this many impressions. What does that mean? Break that down. Break
Hmm.
that down to
And
how
what is
that's
it worth?
valuable for
Is it
me.
actually worth anything? What's the value? Right.
Yes. What's the value?
Yeah.
Because there is value. You just have to understand it, and as you understand it. But, James 1:5, any person who has knowledge, let him ask and he'll receive. That's sort of my story, Tobin. Like, man, I always felt undervalued. I always felt like I didn't have purpose. I felt like sort of a failure as a husband, a father, all these different things. So we've all went through these struggles, and well, maybe not all, but everybody's struggles different. But I remember that, and I remember saying, God, if only I were smarter, I'd be able to make
Mm.
better decisions. And like, I need to be smarter, and I need knowledge. I need to understand. Well, a lot of that comes with experience, for one. But
Or
the
if I may, you
yes,
chime in there and use that as a segue. That's something I meant to mention is that I paid a lot for knowledge and to learn from somebody else's experience more than I ever have over the past year or so.
yes,
I mean, like tens of thousands of dollars, like different companies, seminars, conferences, the live in-person stuff, small group coaching where it's like you're going through a course together over, a period of weeks, like one-on-one coaching. I I paid a lot more than I ever have before, like invested, and uh, some of it I probably should have done a little bit more research on, not just like, oh, this Instagram ad looks great.
yeah,
Some of it I could have done a little more research on, so I'll take responsibility. Um, but the impressive, I mean, I still believe in it so much. Like investing in your education and having good mentors where you can learn from their experience too,
mm,
really shortens the learning curve as opposed to making all the same mistakes yourself. When at least you could have been making newer, different ones that are ahead of the guy that can teach you, or woman or whoever. But that was one of the things that impressed me when I met Joe and started shadowing him and working with him. Just listening to him run a team meeting, I was like, man, this is kind of better and exactly what I was looking for than all that stuff I paid for all year.
yeah. I got it.
Uh,
I got it much cheaper here because now I'm getting paid to do it, whereas before I was investing
exactly.
into. But that
So
is,
that's how I knew. I was like, this is where I need to be
I
with
like
these
what you
guys.
said though. I paid a lot to learn from other people's experience, and that's ultimately what we're doing whenever we go and try to
Yep,
educate ourselves. Right? Is like where is there enough value in their experience and their authenticity and expertise that I can see value in my own life whenever I attend a event. Uh,
totally.
I there's one in particular that I was going to go to a couple years ago. So I don't remember what it was, like 10 grand, and I was like, man, can you imagine sitting having to try and make the decision? Like, is that valuable? Some people would be like, I'll do it, no problem.
Mm.
Let's go all day, every day. Let's make it happen. For me, that was like, I ended up not going. I was like, am I going to see that value perceived through this process, or is there other outlets and avenues in which I can do that? There's a time to invest. There's a time to restrain,
Mm.
yourself from spending. Man, I don't know about you, but I try to listen to the Holy Spirit, man. Like, the word says that obedience is greater than sacrifice. And it's one of my favorite verses in all the Bible because, it really doesn't matter what man says. What matters is what God says, even if you're going to have to sacrifice something, that's the part I don't like to, I don't want to lose something in the process.
Mhm.
It's like I'm trying to gain. And now sometimes you realize letting go makes you stronger. So,
Right.
yeah, I don't know when we got into this philosophical, conversation, but you drew me in. You drew me in. So
That's cool.
tell me more about what you do. Tell me more about the knowledge gap. Believe it or not, we're 30 minutes in and it happens so quick. But
Yeah,
what else? What else we got for the audience here today?
sure. I mean, I'll give you another quick story. Started working with a larger company that does, I'm gonna say like sandblasting, kind of, they have a lot of trucks. They're trying to sell a lot of trucks worth of their blasting material. And it's very complicated. It's like a very highly engineered new type of product for their industry. So they're kind of like the little guy versus the big guy, you know? There's all these other companies that have been selling their stuff, big billion-dollar companies selling to like the Navy, to blast the rust and barnacles off their ships and things like that. And so they're trying to break into this industry. And they've been kind of trending down, from what I heard over the past, year or so. And a lot of their salespeople kind of think of themselves more like engineers. So
Mm,
that was one of the mindset shifts that I watched Joe help them with, was to really fall in love with and take pride in being a salesperson. Uh, because that is something that's kind of shunned sometimes. And if
absolutely.
you're in any kind of business at all, whether you're selling a service or a product, you're in sales. If you're running a business and trying to get customers to give you their money in return for something, you can call it business, you can call it marketing, however you want to dress it up. You're in sales. Um, and so just kind of helping them take ownership of that and fall in love with it, and designing like, oh my gosh, their PowerPoint presentation, it was like 45 slides long. It was so long. And so I watched Joe like, all right, let's shorten that down to maybe like 14 or 20 at the most. And people will buy from you faster. And like wrote a script for him, and I got to shadow and listen to this lady who really her first time like using the new PowerPoint, using the new script. So she was not, super well practiced, a little bit nervous. Um, but she was really funny. She was like clearly a great salesperson, like very talented, and stuck to the process, like got through everything. And I was just like so pleasantly surprised by how well it worked. The guy was just like jumping in, ready to buy, basically, by the end of it. He had like a few objections, and she did a really good job of overcoming them. And just like three different times she had to ask for the next steps. And I was like, man, that's some good persistence right there. But it was really cool to see it in action. And of course, that guy ended up buying, being a huge customer for her. And that whole business has turned around. They've basically like doubled their profit and revenues just over the past few months, like as of 2024. I think they started working with the Knowledge Gap in like January, February. So that was just like one of their 5 or 6 salespeople. So that was just like a kind of a cool success story, I guess. Really, really neat seeing that.
Are you a dealer who sells multiple products at your shed lot? Are you tired of sifting through clunky or overcomplicated softwares to simply sell a product? If so, it's time to call Cal. Consumer Aligned Logistics is the affordable, simplified, and scalable solution for your shed, carport, or even RTO company. We are partnered with Idea Room and Shed Pro for configurators and have multiple RTO partners to choose from JMag to Heartland to Shed Geek Rentals and Scott's RTO. And if your partner isn't listed here, just ask. We are happy to add more. Give us a call at 425-359-3279 or visit calcanhelp.com. That's CALCANHELP.com. You mentioned something earlier. One of my friends down in Georgia, Anthony always says, they offer legendary customer service, but he says, where's the mentality change? Where does the paradigm shift where a salesperson doesn't have to be, like always come with a negative connotation? Like I think a salesperson ranks lower than a politician in terms of like trustworthiness.
Not bad.
And think about that. If you think about that for a minute and try to
Yeah.
break down the science of that, and you ask yourself, okay, well, why is that though? Why would people think that? Because that proves that people, think that there was like a Jedi mind trick or something like pulled on them, or the buyer's
Right.
remorse afterwards. How much of it's justified, how much of it isn't. Oh no, after the fact, I wish I didn't
Hmm.
buy it, but now I've signed this contract, and that's the whole purpose of a contract, is like we agree on this, you know. Does it allow for any
Yeah.
recourse later on? And then if you really think about it, it's like, why would salespeople have that such a negative connotation? Because like it would be really good if we could begin to build up the salesperson's role as a person of integrity and a person of character.
Amen. Totally. That's the only way to be successful in business for a long period of time. Like maybe you can pull the wool over on someone's eyes and maybe trick a few, but you're not going to last long. You're going to have a terrible reputation. Your customers will not refer you. They will not buy from you again. So really, like integrity, honesty, being ethical is for sure number one, especially if you want to be successful. The golden rule: treat people right, for a long time. And I mean, honestly, I think Jesus was the greatest salesperson in the world. His whole message was like, love each other, love God. Super simple, not that controversial. And he got, I'd say, probably a good billion people or so on board with that by now, maybe a few billion. I don't know
Yeah.
how many it is, but there's actually a book called The Greatest Salesperson in the World that I'm a really big fan of, and kind of has a story that ties into Jesus, something about the robe that he wore. That's kind of the story part, but the real meat of it is the 10 scrolls that helped this character become the greatest salesperson in the world. I'm sure you're familiar with the story, but for the listeners that maybe aren't, check it out. It's super short and fun, easy read. But they're helpful lessons like I will laugh at the world. I won't take myself too seriously. I will greet each person with love in my heart and like get to know them and love them and not try to trick them, or corner them into buying. And just so many good like helpful life lessons. I think maybe giving a makeover to the image of the whole profession of selling, maybe that's a job too big for us. But I think we could definitely help people at least elevate themselves and their own brand as a person that's really trustworthy and great to work with. I think I mean, I'm not an expert in the shed industry, but I imagine it's maybe similar to like selling a car, for example, because that's something I have been in the market for. I bought two vehicles recently, um, and some salespeople were just so bad. They would just come in and start selling whatever it was that they wanted to sell because it was something they needed to get off the lot or it made them the
Yeah.
most profit. They were like a waiter, hawking the specials when that's not what I was there for. Or they would tell me about like how fast and awesome it was and how great. And I was like, honestly, I was looking for something that's like better gas mileage and safer. And they didn't ask like, who are you shopping for? Like, because one of the times I wasn't buying for me. Like nobody asked me that. Like, who are you looking for? Uh, you know, um, or like, why are you looking for this, right, in the first place? Like now that I'm like thinking about sheds, I'm trying to figure out metal, wood, like do I want it to look nice or do I want it to last forever and not have any maintenance? Really I just want to keep like my garden tools and stuff in there so I can expand my home gym in my garage. That's really all it is to hold stuff. But I think if you keep that kind of stuff in mind, like asking your customer like who they're purchasing something for, why they're buying something, why they're not happy with what they're doing right now, like getting them to talk about their pain with their current situation and to be emotional so that they're motivated enough to make a change, but then also giving them like enough proof and evidence of why you're trustworthy, see all of our happy customers, look at the great work that we've done so that they have enough logical reasons to not have buyer's remorse. I think that's the key. If I was just kind of
Yeah. No, I
summarize it and
love it,
hopefully
dude.
end on some value.
I love it. They say sales is a transfer of enthusiasm, and if that's true, I think it's just super important to be enthusiastic about your product, and you do that through good service. So, like, you're not selling service, you're selling a product. That being said, we do have we have some SaaS products. You know what I mean? Like in the shed industry, you might be kind of surprised to
Mm.
find that there are like the Amazon of sheds. You know what I mean? Like we have Shed
Yep.
Hub and Sheds for Sale. We've worked really closely with Shed Hub over the years, do a tremendous job, and their SEO is just it's off the charts. Like I've not seen anything like it. So like he's doing an amazing job. But then we have point of sale systems. We have our 3D configurators. We have our friends at Shed Pro and Idea Room, Digital Shed Builder. We have Jason Graber at Shed Suite. What my buddy down in Nashville, outside of Nashville, there in Lebanon, between you guys and Nashville. Matt Black at My Shed and just some cool stuff. You know what I mean? Like there's software's kind of hit our industry because we're just not immune to it and things like that. So it's kind of
Totally.
crazy how
Sure.
how relevant things like this are, and we've sort of found even our home in that through marketing and now offering RTO services, and we want to do more. We want to keep partnering with guys like Joe and all of you good folks
Yeah.
over at the Knowledge Gap, and seeing what you guys are doing, the business services that you're able to provide, the help that you're able to help with companies. I think Joe Woody was saying that you guys are over like 65 plus clients now at this point. So 65 plus businesses that you're helping take to a new level. That's pretty awesome. And we want to make the phone ring. Hopefully we can kind of help be part of sending people your way. I don't know, no promises, but we'll give it our best. And
Can I give him my number?
oh, absolutely, man. Share
All right.
your number or any way that they can contact you.
So I've still got the Bay Area, California, don't hold that against me, but it's 510-602-0032. And my first name again is Brandon. So it's my first initial last name, B Tobin, at knowledgegapconsulting.com.
That's awesome, man. So I always give the guest an opportunity to turn the microphone around and play host for just a moment. So it doesn't matter
Nice.
what it is, if it's podcasting, if it's shed related, life related, whatever, spiritual, doesn't really matter. Full transparency opportunity for you to be the host, a question or two for the Shed Geek, and I'll do my best to answer it and make it entertaining and educational.
Cool. Thanks, Shannon. Man, there's so many good questions I want to ask you. Is it just one, or can I ask a couple?
Go for it. We'll see what kind of time we got. Go
Okay.
for it.
Who was just like a really great mentor, kind of somebody that had a good impact or influence in your life, whether that's spiritually, business, whatever?
Are you ready to elevate your shed business to new heights? Your pathway to success just got a whole lot smoother with ShedSuite's innovative marketing platform. At ShedSuite, we like to think we understand the shed industry at least a little bit. And over the last 7 years, we've been building awesome software for shed businesses. We focus first on building easy-to-use software to help you create and track orders, like the point of sale and after the sale order fulfillment. And now we're excited to announce our full-feature CRM, all things pre-sale, like prospecting and follow-up, all to empower your shed company to market better and sell more efficiently. Our platform empowers you with a marketing toolkit designed to amplify your online presence, engage your audience, and drive sales like never before. Enjoy the ease of conversion tracking, email marketing, centralized lead communication, and so much more. Oh, and guess what? It even comes with an iPhone and an Android app. With ShedSuite's marketing platform, crafting and deploying effective marketing campaigns is a breeze. The advanced reporting functionality allows your team to analyze real-time conversion data so you can make informed decisions and watch your business flourish. There's no better time than now to join the community of shed business owners who are scaling up with ShedSuite. It's time to turn your marketing efforts into real trackable results. Visit shedsuite.com/marketing to get pricing, explore the features, and book a demo. ShedSuite is committed to building top quality software to empower your shed business to thrive.
Yeah, one of the most impactful people of my entire life is absolutely unknown to every single podcast listener. He is gone now. He's passed away. But it was a fellow by the name of Norman Barg. I like to say his name every now and then because I feel like no one ever remembers. He was such a kind soul. Whenever I was a teenager, my parents went through a divorce, and Norman was a family friend. My mom had worked for him through Department of Rehabilitation Services. I think she started that job making a whopping $3 an hour or something like that back in the 90s. And he was just super, super kind. He was a great mentor, great spiritual mentor, a great listener. He was someone who dealt with teenage stress well by just listening. So what people don't know is he was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy from the time he was born, and he wasn't supposed to live past 16, and he was about 60 when he passed. And grew up in the Chicago area. His wife had polio, so they were both in a wheelchair, and that's why my mom would work for them through the state doing like house cleaning and things like that. And, we started mowing their grass, and he just became this really cool dude that just would always listen, no ulterior motive, to just listening and being a friend. And he became a great family friend until his passing. And he treated my kids even like a grandpa. He was just such a good guy. So from a spiritual perspective, I always like to mention him. I've got some keepsake stuff that I go through from time to time, along with some baseball cards, and I'll go through and look at my stuff from my youth. And he's been gone. Oh gosh, he's been gone now 10 plus years. So it's kind of crazy, but he instilled in me spiritual and emotional intelligence that would not be realized until after he was long gone. And he knew he was putting those spiritual and emotional stops in, those seeds in that would be harvested later. And I could never go back and thank him. And that's terrible. You know, until I see him again, hopefully one day in heaven, I cannot say thank you enough for the maturity that he helped build in me through those teenage years. So that is definitely one. Gosh, there's probably a lot of.
Norman, was it?
Yeah,
Norman Bard?
Norman Bard, Barg. Yeah, awesome guy.
Nice.
Yeah, had muscular dystrophy. He had some, bodily deformations from losing a lot of the muscle over the years, and he never complained. Never complained. Had the patience of, I've never seen patience like that man. And he was awesome, and I still think of him often, and I can't thank him enough, even though he's not here to say thank you to, for the things that the seed that he planted that he knew I would get eventually, but I didn't get it while I was a teenager. It wasn't until I got in my 20s and 30s and realized the things he was saying.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean, man. What a blessing. That's a really cool story. I had a similarly impactful kind of mentor in my teenage years. He was the football coach at my high school, but I didn't play football. But he was also the chess coach, and I started the chess club and got him to host us in his classroom. And for my graduation present, he gave me like an archaeology themed Bible. It was like a regular Bible, but it had a bunch of like historical proof and evidence in there. And he's like, here, I think somebody that's very logical and analytical like you is going to need this to ever have a chance of believing. I hope you at least look at it, And he planted those same seeds. And he's still around. Thank God.
That's awesome.
Me. I should tell him thank you.
Hey man,
again.
send a, my buddy Travis Beachy down in Robinson, Texas, Farm and Yard. I sent him a text the other day, and it wasn't meant to come out, but I'll say it now. I said, hey, I just got on TikTok recently, and I that's one of the socials I hadn't really gotten on. I said, man, you kill it. You do such an amazing job on TikTok. And it's like, I've been married for 24 years, and sometimes I'll look at my wife and be like, man, she's really pretty, but I won't say it to her. And I'm like, you know what? One of the biggest things you can do is if you think it, you can tell somebody. And I sent Travis a message and said, I just want you to know you do a great job on TikTok. You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't just think it. I should actually send something to encourage you. And he received it very well, and I appreciated that. Another question. You got anything else before we go?
You kind of answered the other one I was thinking of, which was when's the last time you did or said something nice for somebody that just wasn't expecting it? It wasn't to get anything out of it. Like you just wanted to do a kind thing for a stranger or someone.
That was
cool.
That was it. I really wanted to tell Travis, that for sure, because he really does do a good job on TikTok, and it sort of inspires me. And so, I believe iron sharpens iron, and we should, if you're thinking something, pick up a phone, send somebody a text. You'd be amazed at what it'll do for them, because we get these messages quite often, and I'm going to tell you guys, I can't say thank you enough. Coming from a guy who felt like he had no value in life at one point, to having so many. I got a message today from a realtor in Missouri, and he's like, I know I sound crazy, but I listen to your podcast and I love it. And he's like,
nice.
I just want to tell you that, and I don't want to scare you off or nothing like that. I don't, I've built a couple of sheds, but he said, feel free to give me a call sometime, but I love it. And I don't think people realize how important those messages are when you get them, how much they help you out. You don't want to become egotistical about it, but you do appreciate it. I think I do. So
for sure,
dude, I'll tell you what, are you a fan of public prayer? Do you like to pray?
Yeah.
Are you comfortable praying? I should ask that.
Well, I'd probably say you lead the charge there.
Okay. I'll go. That's okay. I didn't ask beforehand, and I usually do. So, but if you don't care, I'll pray us out of here, and then,
awesome.
Yeah, let's do that. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for this conversation. I ask that you would bless Tobin and all the folks over at the Knowledge Gap and all of his efforts. I ask that you would just lead, guide, and direct them, be a lamp unto their path, be a light to their feet, Lord. Just show them how to be successful and how to keep you in focus of all of our successes in spite of our own efforts not to daily. I just ask that you'd continue to bless the industry, bless the podcast, and just give us direction in all that we do. Help keep us mindful to keep you in front of everything that we put out. And we owe everything to you and your son. In Jesus' name, amen. I appreciate you, Tobin, so much, bro. I enjoyed this thoroughly. We have, you're not going to believe this, but I live in the only town called Metropolis in all of the country. It's in Illinois. It's actually literally the hometown of Superman. So we have the Superman Festival going on right now. So I'm about to head uptown and get me some good old fair food. In spite of the fact I've been walking 2 miles 3 days a week and I'm down 10 pounds and I feel great, I'm about to go get me a funnel cake and some ribbon fries.
Absolutely. Enjoy that.
Yeah, man.
That's so cool. I'm a huge Superman, Batman, just like a huge fan. That's super cool. I hope you have a great time.
It's
awesome.
It's neat. They got a little museum and they got a big old Superman statue. So if you ever make it up, I'll buy you lunch. And hey, I appreciate what you guys are doing, and I want to try to do my best to send people your way. I believe in these systems and processes when you instill them, and the Knowledge Gap is definitely on top of their game, and I can tell by the people Joe's hiring over there. So
much appreciated.
Hey,
Thanks, Shannon.
I will talk to you soon, and I'll let Joe know when the episode comes out. But I appreciate today. It was a blast.
Sounds good. Me too.
All
God
right,
bless.
man.
Have
God
a good
bless.
one.
Yeah, you too.
See you soon.
Take care.
Hey, this is Mo Lunsford in sunny Union Grove, North Carolina, and we want to say thank you to all the guests and listeners.